Yo, what's the dealio, man? Hey, listen, in this video, I got a straight banger for you, all right? In this video, I want to talk about real estate or stocks, all right? Real estate or stocks, which one should you choose? Which one is better, all right? Um, I used to invest in the real estate some years ago. Back in Atlanta, I was wholesaling, I was fixing and flipping, and I had a couple rental properties as well. And I was also doing something called lease options and lease purchases. Okay, and now I'm heavily involved full time in the stock market, and so I could talk to both of them, right? And basically help you understand which one is better. All right. So when I was learning stock options, because I understood real estate, it was so easy to understand stock options. And let me tell you why. They're exactly the same, okay? They're exactly the same. Now, before I talk about the differences between the two, I want you to understand this right here. They are both asset classes, right? But real estate is a tax shelter, right? Real estate is a tax shelter. So when you have a lot of money, a lot of times people will buy houses to invest in to basically save money on taxes because they could, have depreciation and stuff like that. They could write off the depreciation and stuff like that. A lot of people think, oh, I'm making decent money. Let me go buy a house. But I wanna help you maybe think about things a little bit different. Okay. When people get a little bit money or they get a decent job, they run straight to go buying a house. And what I've learned is you could take the same money that you could be putting into a house that may appreciate, 5% in a year, and you could put it in the stock market and you can make 20% in a month, right? Now, was that always the case? No. But let me break this down for you, okay? So when we're talking about real estate, I'm talking about real estate investing, and I'm talking about, stock market investing, okay? And learning how to trade and stuff like that. So in real estate, you have something called wholesaling. That's quick money, right? You're getting money real quick. With wholesaling, you're getting the right, you're signing a contract with the seller saying, hey, I have the right to either buy or sell this property on your behalf, right? I have a price that I'm going to buy it from you at. You're going to get paid for. Whatever I sell the contracts at, that's my business. That's what a wholesaling is, right? Okay. In the stock market, you got something called options. Same exact thing as wholesaling, right? If I buy one contract of Tesla, that means that I have the rights to buy and or sell 100 shares of this stock at the price of my strike price. So if the price, the premiums of this one contract, let's say I buy one contract at $800. If that price goes up to $1,000, I just made $200 profit. Now, in the stock market, you can get 10 contracts if you have the money in your account, right? So that 200 would be 2,000, right? Just like that. Or 200 would be 20,000. So wholesaling and stock options are basically the same thing. But let's say you like, I don't want to do that quick money stuff. Okay, let's look at buying and holding, okay? Or fixing and flipping. Let's look at fixing and flipping. Fixing and flipping is you buy a house right now, fix it up, and then over the next 2 to 3 months, you sell it for a bigger profit, okay? Now, what does that remind me of? That reminds me of swing trading. So you could swing trade shares or you could swing trade stock options, right? Let's say a stock is beat down, right? A stock dropped by 10, 15, 20%. You can get a swing contract or you can buy shares because the stock is down 15%. And let's say that stock recovers halfway and the stock goes up 8%. If you bought shares, let's say you put $1,000 into a stock, right? And that stock went up 8% in a week, you would get an 8% return on your money. But with stock options, because stock options are a derivative, right? Their value is derived from the stock price. If the stock price went up 8%, your option contracts are probably going to be up 90 to 150%, something like that, right? So that's swing trading. So swing trading, I look at swing trading as no different from fixing and flipping, because it's the same process. Something is beat down, the house is beat down, and then you get into it, you fix it up. With stocks, you just really got to wait, and you got to know how to read the charts, right? And then time goes by, it goes back up, and then you cash out, right? You could look at developing a neighborhood as leaps. Leaps are the same thing as swings, but you're just holding it longer, okay? So if you see a company is down at 52-week lows, you could get a leap for 2 years out and then hold it. And then if that stock recovers 50% of its 52-week low, your contracts could be up 200, 300%. And you could get a nice return on your money that way. Okay? Now, what about the lazy people? What about the people that like, I don't want to do nothing. I just want to make money on my money. Okay? Watch this. Buy and hold investors, right? You buy a rental property, you put somebody in it, the house increases in value over time, and somebody's paying your mortgage down, right? Okay. What about buying a stock and then it has dividends as well? Okay. Same thing. Dividend stocks are the same thing as buying and holding in real estate. No different, right? You buy a house and then you put a tenant in there and they pay you, right? Every month you get a dividend, right? You get a payment. With stocks, you buy a stock every month or every quarter, that company is going to pay you out whatever their dividend is, right? Because the company is so big and they got so much profit that they're paying you to hold their stock, right? So they're both the same. But let me tell you the difference. I know they say you can get in real estate with no money. I understand it, right? Nowadays we got technology, we got AI, things are a lot cheaper. When I was doing real estate, I was out at 2 a.m. on Saturday night, Friday night, putting out abandoned signs on the side of the freeway. I was really doing that. But with stocks, it is truly, truly, truly the only place where you could go put in $200 and go make $1,000 within a couple days. Is that the case every day? No. But what I'm saying is the return that you could get on your money is unlike anything else in the stock market. You're not getting 6,000% returns on your money in 2 weeks. You're not doing it in real estate. All right? It's no shade to real estate. There is a place for real estate. But I personally think that nothing is greater than the stock market. And another thing is, with real estate, you have tenants, right? You have, let's say you buy a house. Put it in perspective for you. Let's say you buy a house. Okay, a down payment, right? Down payment. If you're doing conventional, 20%. FHA, 3.5%, right? Let's say your down payment is $20K. If you put that $20K into the stock market at the right time with the right stock or ETF, in 3 years, you will most likely have had more gains in the stock market, right? Based on your investment than what you would have with that house. Okay? Now, what if you put that same 20K, let's say 10K, if you put half of that 20K into an option call, let's say the market is down right now, right? And you put that 10K into option call, a stock that you know is down and it's going to go up. You can double that money in 30 days. Like legit, you can double that money in 30 days. right? It's all about knowing where to put the money and understanding the market and how to read the charts, right? Now, you buy the house, right? Okay, you buy the house. Then what happens? A year goes by, you got to get a water heater. You got to get your garage, a new garage door, your plumbing, right? The sellers, they didn't disclose there was a plumbing issue. So now you got to go put up $7K for plumbing and your garage door and your water heater. Okay? But you was just about to go on vacation. But if you take that same $7K and you put it into another stock option call or some more equities, which are shares, that money is going to grow. Now, here's the beautiful thing as well. What about rental properties, right? So if you get a rental property, let's say you buy a house. First thing, a rental property don't even make sense in every city, right? Some cities are so expensive that you ain't even getting your return. So only the rich people or people that bought these houses 40 years ago are actually making money off of their rentals. Okay. But let's say we're in like the Midwest or something like that. And let's say you buy a house. And let's say you buy it cash. Okay. Let's say you buy it cash. A lot of times they say what the rule is if you could cash flow on a house, $200 to $300 in profit, you are good. That's usually like a rule of thumb, right? Now watch this. So if you put, let's say you buy a house in the Midwest and you buy the house for 80K, okay? 80K. If I put 80K into a house, and let's say the rent in that area is $900, okay? You may own it free and clear, but there are certain things that you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to put money aside for just in case somebody damages something, right? Fixing stuff up and stuff like that. So after everything is said and done, let's say you at profit $200 a month, right? That's $2,400 a year. All right. So how many rental properties do you need to get a full-time income, right? Do the math. Let's say you got $2,400 a year in profit. Let's just say you need a good amount if you're only making $2,400 per rental property. And each rental property is going to be a little bit different, right? Now, let's say you take that same 80K cash and you put that 80K into a stock that pays out dividends, right? Depending on what the dividend is, you could be making $300, $400, $500 a month, depending on what the dividend is. Some people will be like, nah, that's not real. No, it is real. Okay, it is real. You got to know where to put the money. So when we're talking about getting returns, I think that the stock market takes the cake. And I'm talking about in a very fast period of time. I remember when I was younger, I used to think that the stock market was just slow. But that's like if you're just buying ETFs, $200 a month and that's it. But when you learn how to invest in the stock market, when you learn how to trade in the stock market, when you learn how to use stock option calls and stock option puts to grow your money faster and flip your money and then put that money into shares and equities, you can get a lot of money at a very rapid pace. But see, a lot of people, they don't want to learn the charts. They don't want to go on a journey of learning what it takes and how to think in this manner, right? And I know a lot of other people will be like, oh, I like to touch my assets. That's fine. I'm not saying don't get real estate, but what I'm saying is you can flip your money so much faster in the stock market. And me personally, I think that here's another thing. When you need to liquidate and get some actual cash, right? So let's say you got 10 houses, and let's say you worth, right? Let's say you own all your 10 houses in cash. Each house is worth 200K. Let's just say 200 times 10 is 2 million, right? So let's say you worth 2 million in assets and real estate, and you're a real estate person. And on this side, let's say you got 2 million in 2 million in stocks, assets and stocks, right? Okay. Now, if you need to liquidate from your assets on your real estate, it's gonna take you at least, I'm gonna be real generous and say 10 days, right? 14 days. If you got could get something underwritten super fast and blah, 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 all right, cool, right? If you need to get a line of credit, a HELOC on your house, that's gonna take some time. It's a process. You gotta go through the banks, is what I'm saying, right? You gotta go through the banks. Now watch this. If I own 2 million in stocks, all I gotta do is click sell, right? Just click sell. Let's say I need 200K. I'm gonna sell 200K worth of my stocks. And then the next day, it'll be sold and my money will be available and I can withdraw my money. So when we're talking about liquidity, I like the stock market as well. Remember, like I'm saying, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but you got to know how they fit into your life, right? If I knew what I knew now, instead of running into the real estate world when I got out the military, I would have gotten to the stock market, right? Because when you understand the stock market, you also don't need a location, okay? That's another thing. You don't need, you are location independent. So you could build a massive amount of wealth without having to be in a specific place and having overhead. When you buy a personal residence, you still gonna have overhead, right? Once again, I am not saying don't get real estate, but I want you to understand how the stock market really goes and how it really works. The returns that you could get in the stock market is unreal and it's unlike anything. So when you see people saying I made 40K today, 100K today, 200K today, that stuff is real. That stuff is real. You see 22-year-olds and 28-year-olds saying that they made 100K in a month. That stuff is real, right? But it's because anybody, the most average Joe, can come in the stock market with $100, turn it into 1,000, and go build an empire. You need a lot more money in real estate, and there's a lot more barriers to get into real estate. All right. So they're both alike, right? But I love the stock market so much more because all you need to do is learn how to read the charts and understand the actual game of finance and psychology. And once you do that, you could go into the stock market every single day and get your returns and go on about your life. You don't even need to be in the stock market for 8-9 hours a day. You ain't got to go to networking events, right? All you got to do is learn how to read the charts, understand what's going on in economics, understand, certain principles, supply and demand, and then learn how to use the actual tools, and that's it, right? So if you are not in the stock market, I highly recommend you and encourage you to get into the stock market, right? If you're in real estate and the stock market worries you or intimidates you, I highly recommend you to get into the stock market because it is unlike anything else, all right? So take your money and put it in there, and then you could build up your money in the stock market, and then you could go buy that house cash that you really want, all right? So like I always say, make sure you get up out of your head, go get into this world because your head is a dangerous place to live, all right? And also remember, the more you study, the less you worry, all right? I'm gonna see you guys on the next video. Peace.